Hello, and welcome to Organizing Your PolyLearn course. Today I'm going to be talking about different ways you can organize your PolyLearn course and give you some suggestions and show you some examples. I always like to start my workshops by showing you the PolyLearn support site. That's polylearnsupport.calpoly.edu. Once you open the support site, the section we'll be looking at today is in the faculty support section. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that link. And the area we'll be looking at is under the Getting Started. We'll be looking at a Quick Start Guide, the Quick Guide Organizing Your Course. We'll also be looking at Edit Settings, which will explain how to set up the course, turning it on if it's weeks or topics. Some of the features for the course are in there. We'll also be looking at things down here under Resources, such as files, folders, labels, pages, and some multimedia like embedding YouTube. We'll also be looking at labels. So let's go ahead and open a PolyLearn Blink course. Whenever a PolyLearn shell is created for the instructor of record, it looks something like this. The course shell is blank. It's ready for the instructor to add content into it. The setting for a course shell is for it to be turned off, meaning that the students can't open or access the PolyLearn shell until the instructor turns the course on. Instructors can turn courses on under the Edit Settings. It's over here under the Administration section. The Edit Settings section allows you to show your course. So right here where it says Visible, you would turn it on or show it by just choosing Show. Once you choose Show, you'll have to come down to the bottom and save changes. There's some other sections in here that will be helpful to you. So let me go ahead and scroll up and show you this part here. Expand All over here on the right-hand side. I'm going to click on that just so you can see everything that's in this section. You might want to change your format. Courses are by default created with the topic format. So you'll see that, and that's usually the format I like, but some people tend to like the weekly format, so you can also choose weekly format. Weekly format will also apply dates based on the quarter. So if you think that you might have a difficulty keeping the content within the exact dates, topics are great because you can also bunch weeks together and so on. If you don't think you're going to need 10 sections, maybe you want less or more, you can also change that here. You can also, and I'll show you an example of a course, you can hide sections so that students only see the main content block on the top and some of the other sections, so you can do that too. I'll show you an example and then I'll remind you where that is. There's some other features here too. Please look at the Edit Settings tutorial. It covers all these and explains them. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this because I am not ready to show my class. So the course shells have blocks on the left and right, and depending on what you're trying to do, these blocks can be very helpful. You can see participants that are enrolled in your class. Enrollment sent to PolyLearn every morning. So you can see who those participants are. Also within this administration block, as you saw, there was the edit settings for the course. You have other options within this course, so grades. You can back up this course. You can import older content into this course, so you can reuse course content. If the content is from a course that's in a different academic year, the import won't work, but this Course Copy Wizard over here on the right will. Course Copy Wizard will let you copy content from any academic year as long as it's in our PolyLearn system. If you back up the course, you can also use the Restore option. So if you did a backup and saved the file on your computer, you can restore it back into this PolyLearn shell or any shell that's available to you. So administration block can be very helpful, as well as this course copy block on the right. Then there's also a calendar block, latest news. Latest news will show any of the news items that you add to this top item here. It says news forum. So the news forum is a great tool to use to send messages to your students. It will allow you to post a message. It will email the students. It will either email them now when you click on that button. So let me just go ahead and open this so you can see what I'm talking about. Add a topic. So say I wanted to remind the students there's a midterm and we're changing the room because we needed to have some hands-on activity or something. So I can type in a subject, I can provide a message, and then I can choose to email it now by checking this box and posting. So as soon as I post, it's going to email the student. This email now means that it will email the student. It's not an email yes or no. I'm going to email the student this message either right now or 30 minutes from now. I'm not quite sure why it has this option, because either or it will email the student, but I've had some questions about that, so I wanted to make sure I clarify that. It will email whatever email account is their preferred email account listed in the portal, so that if the student is not reading Cal Poly email, it will go to that email account unless they go into the portal and say, I would rather have it go to Gmail or something else. There's also this wonderful box here, because we've had occasions where people accidentally pushed something and they lost some content that they were typing. So you have the option to say, oh no, I wanted to finish, stay on the page, or in this case, I'm just showing you something, I'm going to leave the page. So again, there's all these blocks over here on the left and right. Another one that's wonderful for the students is this activity block. When you add more content to your course, this activity block will have more resources in it. So the more content in your course, the more resources showing up here. And I'll give you some examples of some courses too. Quick Mail will allow you to email your students. Again, it will email whatever account is listed in their portal, but it will allow you to send messages to individual students, groups, or the whole class. So if you'd like to send a message, it also keeps a history, which is awesome. So you can see that you had sent emails to particular students and what you said at what date and time. So that's your generic shell. Let me show you some examples of a course, and then we'll go ahead and I'll show you how to create some of those things. So let's look at some other classes. First of all, I have a class here that I have created for an online class that I teach. As you can see, this course has content in it, but it's the same shell development. So the instructor can choose to create content, something similar to this. So the top block, as you see here, has information that pertains to the class. We call the top block the main block, or the course business block. That is a great place for your students to be able to see the name of the class, to know who the instructor is, maybe a welcome message or some intro type message. Definitely forums to support the class, the news forum to send out announcements. You can change the news forum name to course announcements instead. I can show you how to remove the news forum. Sometimes you'll have more than one news forum when you copy content from past courses. You also copy the news forum over. You can also provide information like your office hours, the calendar, the syllabus, any additional information that would support the class. For example, as an online class, there's netiquette information and grading rubrics and so on. That could be all in the top block. And how is this organized, and how did this content get in here like this? Let's go ahead and turn editing on so you can see some of the format. So if I go over to the right hand side, you can turn editing on. As an instructor, you have the ability to edit your course, and then that also allows you to add content to your course and to move things around and organize it in the way to support your students. So every single content block has this little icon here. It kind of looks like a gear. It's the edit summary icon. So if I scroll down, edit summary icon, let's go ahead and go back to that blank course. When I turn the editing on here, it's a little easier to see when there's no content in here. As you can see, again, the edit summary icon. So every single content block has an edit summary icon The edit summary is an area of the course where you can add information to the very top of each block. As you can see in this block here, the top block, edit summary, I'm going to click on that. I have added a banner image. Okay, so here's the image. This HTML block can be expanded so that you can have more real estate to develop your content. So you can add images, you can type text, you can put in URLs, you can, basically it's an HTML editor, very similar to Word, but it's writing HTML in the background. As you can see here, you have the ability to change to different font sizes. You can bold and italic. You can use bullets and numbers. Here's where you can provide links. You can add images. You can also copy and paste Word text. So I recommend that you either use this paste as plain text or paste from Word. When you use Word content and you copy it from Word, make sure you use this icon, click here, and paste it into this box. The reason why you want to do that is Word itself has some very particular style design code in it that's very, it's great for Microsoft Office and Internet Explorer browser, but can be a pain in the derriere when you try to add it to PolyLearn, and it won't let you change some of the formatting styles because it's in the back end and kind of hard to see. So even though you might be selecting the text and trying to change something, it might not work because of that Word coding. So by using this paste as from Word, you'll get rid of that extra coding. I also recommend that you choose these paragraph options as much as possible. So if you want to create a title or a heading of some sort, use these heading options. Also use the paragraph for paragraph text and so on, and try to stay away from doing that in the font sizes. The reason why you want to use the paragraph options is that by using those paragraph options, those people who need to use screen readers, because I might have a visual impairment, the computer reads to them what's on the computer. The paragraph options actually are created in a way that the screen reader can know the hierarchy of information. So it knows, it can jump to different headings, it knows, the importance of it. Whereas if you're just changing the sizes and bolding things, it's not going to know if that's a heading or not. So try to use the paragraph options when designing your page layout. I'll come back to some of the options in here later. As for adding images and typing in text, let me just cancel this and go to my blank class and show you how to do that. So again, each content block, you can add information at the top of every page. And so if I wanted to go to the top of my block 0, I can go down to this text box and start adding stuff. This section name, the generic name is topic, but if you uncheck this, you can change each topic to something else like introduction, week 1, chapter 1, whatever information you want to add to it, but you have to uncheck this box before it'll let you type something in it. But for the welcome, I'm going to go ahead and add an image. So I'm going to click on this little icon here and find a file that I currently have on my computer. So I'm going to browse, and I stuck something on my desktop. So a banner image can be created in Photoshop or any imaging type tool. This was created in Photoshop and then saved as a JPEG. You can save as a JPEG or a PNG or a GIF file. JPEG is JPG. So I'm going to go ahead and insert this. Let me explain some things. Let's see. So right here, this is the URL to it. I can also add an image description. That was what that little box was saying. Hey, you need to add a description. I like to give it the same name. You can describe the image if you like. It could be anything that would provide information. Again, the image description is like the alt text, ALT, that will help to describe to a user who has a visual impairment and cannot actually see the image where it says designing a course for online delivery. The screen reader would see the text you type in there and read it to the student. The other options in here too, whenever you add images, you can change the dimensions. You got to be careful when you change the dimensions though, because if you change the dimensions for one, height and width, it won't proportionally scale the other one. Unless this is checked right here. So if I wanted to make this a little smaller, I do recommend though that you try to, there we go. I just clicked in the next box to see the proportionally scaled. Try to scale your image to the size you want it in Photoshop. Don't bring it in as a really huge, you just took it off your camera image and then scale it down to like 1/3 of the size. Because even though you scaled it down so it fits on the page, it's still this huge image and it will take the computer browser a while to load that huge image. So it can slow down the page for the student when they're trying to look at it. So this is where you can change some sizes, again, just a little. You can also choose to align. So if you have, not the banner image is going to just be on the top. But if you have other images, maybe you want to align it left or right of your content, you can do that through this alignment. And there's also some advanced options too, where you can add additional information. So I'm going to go ahead and insert this, and then here's my banner image. And then this is similar to Word, so I return, and now I can type my welcome. Oops. The spell check in this window is based on your browser. So depending on your browser, spell check options is what will be available for you in here. I'm not real fond of the spell checkers built into the browser, so I've actually downloaded some plugins, and you can find some of those. There's Grammarly is a good spell check plugin. Ginger is a good one too, but you can search for spell check options for browsers if you're interested in something different. There's also a way to see the HTML. If you're familiar with HTML coding, there's this little icon here, Edit HTML Source, and you can see the HTML it's creating for you in the background. So you can also copy and paste HTML into this window and then update. If you prefer HTML, or if you have some HTML, maybe you did in Dreamweaver some time ago, you can copy and paste between the body tags and paste it into that. So let me go ahead and save. Okay, and so there's my banner. I would have actually kept it larger, but just wanted to show you what that looked like. I was talking about you can change the names of these. So if I go to the edit summary and I uncheck this, so maybe it's week 1 introduction, and then I could type, in week 1 I want you to read this and do this assignment, and here are the learning outcomes or objectives for that week. So you can put that information there too. So let me just save this so you can see what that looks like. Okay, so the class has come along. There's some information that's happening. So if I go back to this shell that I was working on, let me turn editing off so you can see what it looks like for a student. Okay, and so, here was that banner image, some welcome text I put in. These are forums again, and pages that I've placed in. Here is that week 1 introduction, but then I added the lessons and readings and assignment due dates in that area. So that's how you can organize your blocks to give some importance so that it's very clear which block is which.